Hello, this is AJ. Here we are again for our next lesson. Now, this lesson, once again, is based on a small excerpt, a small section from the book, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. Again, I highly recommend this book. It's a fantastic book, just a great book. I love it. And this lesson is called Adventure. One of my favorite words, in fact, adventure. And in this section, Tim Ferriss talks about what he calls ADD for adults. Now, it's a bit of a joke because ADD means attention deficit disorder. You don't need to understand that, but what it means basically is it's children who cannot concentrate. It's usually something for children, and it's a child who cannot concentrate. And usually this happens in school, right? They can't concentrate. And so the doctors or the school or the teachers, they decide, your child has ADD. Your child has a problem. He can't concentrate. Now, in my opinion, this is mostly a bullshit diagnosis. It's mostly a bullshit problem. Because the real problem is the child is bored because the school sucks. So, in my opinion, ADD is actually quite healthy. Healthy children get ADD because they're bored in school, because the schools suck. So usually it's a teaching problem. In fact, in my opinion, always, 100%, the teachers and the school are responsible. You don't blame the child. You don't blame the student, even if it's an adult student. Got to take responsibility. So anyway, this ADD thing, he's kind of joking about this, but he has a different definition for ADD for adults, not for children. He calls it adventure deficit disorder. Deficit means you don't have enough. Disorder is like a disease. So adult ADD means adults who don't have enough adventure in their life. They don't have enough adventure in their life. And Tim Ferriss believes this is a very serious disease that most adults have. So what he's saying is most adults are damn boring. They're boring. They have no adventure in their life. They have no excitement in their life. And I agree, most of the adults I have met are boring. There's no adventure in their life. So Tim Ferriss talks about getting more adventure into your life. Not just having exciting goals, but having your entire life be an adventure. It means you're trying new things, you're growing, you're doing difficult things sometimes scary things, but exciting too. So let me read this section and then I'll talk more about it. Adventure deficit disorder. Somewhere between college graduation and your second job, a chorus of people enters your internal dialogue in your mind, in your head. They say, be realistic and stop pretending. Life isn't like the movies. Stop dreaming. If you're 5 years old and you say you want to be an astronaut, your parents tell you that you can be anything you want to be. It's harmless, like telling a child that Santa Claus exists. If you're 25 and you announce that you want to start a new circus, the response is quite different. People say, be realistic. Become a lawyer. Become an accountant or a doctor. Have babies. And raise your babies to repeat the same cycle. If you do manage to ignore all the doubters and you start your own business, adventure deficit disorder does not disappear. It just takes a different form. For example, when I started my own company in 2001, it was with a clear goal in mind. My goal was to make $1,000 per day. And my goal was to make $1,000 per day from passive income. to make money, whether I was banging my head on a computer or cutting my toenails on the beach. This business was to be an automated source of cash flow. But if you look at my chronology, it is obvious that this didn't happen until a meltdown forced it, despite the income. Why? Well, my goal wasn't specific enough. I had not defined alternative activities that would replace the initial workload. Therefore, I just continued working, even though there was no financial need. I needed to feel productive, and I had no other activities. This is how most people work until death. Most people think, I'll just work until I have $1,000 or $1 million, and then I'll do what I want. However, if you don't define the alternative activities, that dollar figure will increase indefinitely so that you can avoid the fear-inducing uncertainty of not knowing what to do next. This is why both employees and entrepreneurs become fat men in red BMWs. All right, that's quite a little section there. Tim Ferriss has quite strong ideas, as you can see, about life and about working. In his opinion, working for money is a bad thing. You want to work for passion. You want to work for excitement. You want to have a life full of passion and excitement. Your life should not be dominated by trying to get money. But he says what happens is that a lot of times we work and work and work, not because we need money, just because we're afraid to do something else. We don't know what else to do. For example, a lot of people who retire, after they retire, they lose their passion for life. They're very unhappy. It seems crazy. Why are they unhappy? They're free. Well, it's because they don't know what else to do. They have no other dreams. So what he's saying is that we often work a lot just to avoid thinking about our life, because we have no imagination. We've lost our imagination. We've lost our dreams. So we just focus on work all the time. And, I can relate to this story. This story sounds similar to my own story. Because after about 1 year, after I started my company, Effortless English, after 1 year, I was making enough money. I didn't need to work. And yet, I was still on the computer all the time. I still do it sometimes. On the computer, checking the advertising, checking the sales all the time. Why am I doing this? Well, because I haven't created enough other activities that are exciting and passionate for me. Now I'm doing that now. But I have to be careful about this. I have to be careful that I don't focus on work just to avoid boredom, just to avoid adventure. I got to make myself be adventurous. That's why I travel all the time. It's why I spend 3 to 4 months in Southeast Asia. So I break my pattern, so I don't just get stuck in the same boring routine, doing the same thing all the time. I force myself to break that. Every year, break it. Go someplace different than San Francisco. And so you need to do that too. You got to find some adventure in your life. Go someplace new. Find a new, crazy goal. Something strange and wonderful. Don't get stuck just working. And if you have a job where you're forced to work all the time, get a new job, for God's sakes. Find a new job. Even if you start your own company, don't let the company own you. You own the company does not own you. Make sure you create a company that will give you plenty of free time so that you can have adventure in your life, so you can travel or you can learn amazing new things, different things. Not for money, just to learn, just to enjoy, just for the challenge and the adventure. So find other activities outside of work. If work is your only focus in life, you're going to become boring. That's why I'm taking singing lessons and I'm practicing singing every day, because I've always wanted to do music and be a singer. So now I'm doing it, and it's exciting. I love it. That's why I travel to Thailand and to Malaysia, and why I want to go to Vietnam and to South India, and I want to go all over the world, because it's an adventure. I don't know what's going to happen. There's always a surprise every day when I do that. It's not the same boring routine all the time. And so I encourage you to do the exact same thing. Do something crazy. Do something different. Bring surprise into your life. Bring variety into your life. Bring adventure into your life. Go find it. If you do that, you'll find that, again, your energy and your love for life are going to increase so much. So I challenge you, go find adventure. Have you been just doing the same thing every day, every week, every year after year? Well, it's never too late. Change it. Break that pattern and just do something crazy and fun and adventurous. You will not regret it. You'll be so happy you did it. And then make it a habit again and again. Always be finding new adventures, breaking your patterns. Anytime you just find yourself doing the same thing again, break it and do something different. Do something new. Even if it's crazy, just do it. Travel to some new place you've never been. And don't just travel. Don't plan the vacation. Go without a guidebook. Try that. You've never been there? No guidebook? Oh my God. That'll be fun. That'll be surprising and interesting. That'll be adventurous. Or start some crazy new project, or even in your hometown, go do something totally different that you've never done before. Start breaking those mental patterns. Then you'll get more creativity in your life and more energy. All right. I will see you next time. I want to hear about your adventures. Again, go to the forums. Tell us your adventures. What crazy, fun, amazing things are you doing now? Or have you decided to do soon? Tell us. Tell us so we can become excited. Maybe we'll try it too. Maybe we'll join you. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hello, welcome to the vocabulary lesson for adventure. Now, this will be a little bit shorter because it's a little bit easier this time. Let's start at the very beginning. We have the phrase internal dialogue. He says that after you graduate from college, or perhaps high school, and maybe before your second job, sometime in that time period, a chorus of people, chorus means group, a group of people enters your internal dialogue. Now, internal means inside, so he means inside your mind, inside your brain. Dialogue means conversation. So what is he talking about? He means that other people's opinions, what other people say, it gets inside your head. You start hearing all these, suggestions and advice because everybody's telling you what to do. Your parents are telling you, get a good job, get a good job, get a good job, get a good job. And so that becomes part of your internal dialogue. It becomes part of your conversation, the conversation in your brain. So internal dialogue means the conversation happening inside your head. And other people put those ideas in your head. They become part of your internal conversation, internal dialogue. Okay, next we talked about the word deficit. Deficit means not enough. It means not having enough. So adventure deficit means not having enough adventure. Not having enough adventure. And disorder basically means disease. It's a kind of disease. But it's really more of a mental disease. We use it for mental problems. So we say a mental disorder, a mental disease. All right. Next, we go down a little bit and we see the word automated. Automated. So Tim Ferriss created a company, and his idea was to have automated income. Automated means automatic. It has this idea of being done by machines or computers. So automated income means automatic income. It means he doesn't have to work for it. It just happens automatically. So he has, for example, he has a website. People buy his product, and the computer takes the money from the credit card. The computer sends information to the warehouse. The warehouse sends the product to the customer. Tim Ferriss does nothing. He sits on the beach. He doesn't need to do anything. Everything is automatic, right? There's an automatic system. So that's what automated means. Automated means a process that is automatic. A process that happens automatically. So his idea was to have a business that was automated. It means the business happened automatically with computers, with other people, and he wouldn't need to do anything. That was his idea. In fact, he wanted automated cash flow. Cash means money. Flow means movement, movement. So money movement, cash flow. Now, of course, he's talking about positive cash flow. It means money moving to him, right? Money coming to him. It means the money is moving, from his business to his pocket or to his bank. That's cash flow. Negative cash flow means the money is leaving your bank. It's going to other people. You don't want that. You want positive cash flow, money moving to you. So he wanted automated cash flow. Automatic money coming to him. That was his goal. But he says there was a problem. He says, if you look at my chronology, you will see that it did not happen in the beginning. So he says, if you look at my chronology means history. It's almost exactly the same meaning. Chronology means history or timeline. But history is really a simple synonym, a simple word that means the same thing. So he says, if you look at my history, if you look at my chronology, look at my history when I started the company and then the first year, the second year, the third year. Look at that chronology. Look at that history. He says, if you look at that chronology, if you look at that history, you see that I did not stop working. He said, I could have had automated income, but instead I kept working and working and working. I didn't need to work, but I kept working anyway. He said, I worked until a meltdown forced me to stop working. A meltdown. What's a meltdown? A meltdown is an emotional crisis. It means you totally lose control of your emotions, usually because of stress. So you're working, more pressure, more stress. You're trying to control, and suddenly, meltdown! Right? You lose all your control. You lose all your emotional control. You just go crazy, basically. So this happened to Tim Ferriss. He built this company. He was making more money. He was working harder, more stress, more busy. Finally, his mind and body broke. A meltdown. He lost control. I can't do this. Too much stress. He totally lost control. He had a meltdown. And when he lost control of his feelings, he just kind of went crazy for a while. He finally stopped. He realized, oh my God, what am I doing? Why am I working so much? I don't need to. I have plenty of money. Why am I still working? Why am I so stressed? I have enough money. My money can be automated. Why am I doing this? Why am I making my life unhappy? Why am I making myself so stressed? That's what he asked himself after the meltdown, after the emotional crisis. And he realized the reason was that he did not have alternate activities, other activities, to replace the workload. Workload means amount of work. Very simple. It's the amount of work you have. You can say, I have a heavy workload. A heavy workload means you have a lot of work to do. You're super busy. Or you can say, I have a light workload. It means you don't have much to do. You're not busy. Your job is quite easy. Or you can even talk about it just temporarily. You can say, this week, I have a very light workload. But next week, next week I have a very heavy workload. It's just the amount of work you have. So he's saying his problem was he had this heavy workload and he could stop. But the problem was he had nothing to replace it with. He didn't have something else to do. So he was afraid if I stop working, I'll be totally bored. And that'll be even more horrible. It'll make me even more unhappy. So that's why he kept working. He didn't have an exciting alternative to work. And then finally, of course, he had a meltdown. He kind of went crazy because of all the stress. And then he realized, wow, I need more exciting, more meaningful alternatives. I don't want to be a slave to my business. And then finally, we have the word inducing, fear-inducing. He said, we work more and more to avoid the fear-inducing uncertainty. Fear-inducing uncertainty. Inducing means causing. So it's fear-causing uncertainty. The uncertainty causes fear. That's what the phrase means. So he's saying we want to avoid uncertainty that causes fear. We don't like uncertainty. We don't want to be uncertain because it causes fear. It induces fear. So here we're using it as an adjective. Fear-inducing uncertainty. What kind of certainty? Fear-causing uncertainty. Fear-inducing uncertainty. So he's saying if you don't have other big dreams, you'll be afraid. You'll be uncertain. I don't know what to do. What will I do? There's nothing there. That's very scary. So you keep working. So he's saying if you have big dreams, other activities outside work, then you will have certainty and you will not be afraid. No fear-inducing uncertainty. Fear-causing uncertainty. All right, well, that's the end of our vocabulary lesson for adventure. Let's move on to the mini story. Hello, this is AJ. Welcome to the mini story for adventure. Michelle hated her job. Her workload was too heavy. Why did she hate her job? Well, because her workload was too heavy. She had too much work. Whose workload was too heavy? Michelle's. Michelle's workload was too heavy. How did Michelle feel about her job? She hated it. Michelle hated her job. Why did she hate her job? Well, because her workload was too heavy. She hated her job because her workload was too heavy. Was her workload too light, too easy? No, it wasn't. It wasn't too light, it was too heavy. Her workload was too heavy. What was too heavy? Her workload. Her workload was too heavy, so she hated her job. Now, Michelle made a lot of money. She was a vice president at IBM. What was her position? Well, vice president. Her position was vice president. Which company was she a vice president at? IBM. She was a vice president at IBM. What was her position? Vice president. Michelle was a vice president at IBM. Did she make a little money or a lot of money? Well, of course, she made a lot of money. She had a very high-paying job. She was a vice president at IBM. Michelle made a lot of money. Who made a lot of money? Michelle. Michelle made a lot of money at IBM. In fact, she got great cash flow from her job. Did she have great cash flow from her job? Oh, yeah. Great cash flow. A lot of money moving from IBM into her bank. She had a lot of money coming to her. She had great cash flow. Did Michelle have bad cash flow or great cash flow? She had great cash flow. Was her cash flow positive or negative? Positive. She had more money coming, less money leaving her bank. Right? More money coming in, less going out. That's positive cash flow. Michelle had very positive cash flow. Why did Michelle have positive cash flow? Well, because she had a great job at IBM. She was a vice president at IBM. She made a lot of money, so she had positive cash flow, not negative cash flow. So what was the problem? Well, the problem was her workload was too heavy. So Michelle was miserable. Was she happy? No. Very, very unhappy. She was miserable. Why was Michelle miserable? Because her workload was too heavy. She felt a lot of stress. She was too busy. Her workload was too much. Well, one day, finally, she had a meltdown. Did she lose control of her emotions one day? That's right. She lost control of her emotions one day. She had a meltdown. What did she have? A meltdown. Michelle had a meltdown. Why did she have a meltdown? Because she was too stressed. She had a very heavy workload. She was too stressed. So finally, one day, she had a meltdown. Was she in control of her emotions, or did she have a meltdown? Well, obviously, she had a meltdown. She lost control of her emotions. She had a total, complete meltdown. Total, complete loss of control. She had a meltdown. She screamed at her boss. She said, "I have too much work. I hate this goddamn job." Ooh, wow, she did lose control. She had a meltdown. She was screaming at her boss. "Ah! I hate this damn job. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it." She screamed and yelled at her boss. She yelled for 5 hours. I hate this job. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It was a total meltdown. She totally lost control of her emotions. She screamed and screamed and screamed. Wow. Was it a small meltdown or a total meltdown? Man, it was a total meltdown. A complete meltdown. She totally lost control. She went crazy, screaming at her boss. I hate this job. I have too much work. Whew. Wow. Poor Michelle. Well, after 5 hours of screaming at her boss, she stopped. And her boss said, well, no problem. We'll just automate your job. What did her boss want to do? He wanted to automate her job. Did he want computers and machines to do her job? That's right. He wanted computers and machines to do her job. He wanted her job to become automatic. No person necessary. What did her boss decide to do? He decided to automate Michelle's job. Was he going to hire a new person for her job? No, he was not. He wanted computers and machines to do her job. He wanted to automate her job. What did he want to automate? Michelle's job. He wanted to automate Michelle's job. Whose job did he want to automate? Well, Michelle's job. Her boss wanted to automate Michelle's job. And so he did. He automated her job. Michelle was replaced by a computer. She lost her job. What happened to Michelle's job? It was automated. Michelle's job was automated. It became automatic. What was Michelle replaced by? A computer. Michelle was replaced by a computer. She lost her job to a computer. Her job was automated. How did Michelle feel now? Super happy, of course. She was very happy. She moved to a beach in Thailand, and she relaxed every day. It was wonderful. How did she feel about losing her job? She felt great. Where did she move? She moved to Thailand, paradise. How did she feel? She felt relaxed and happy. And that is the end of the mini story for Adventure. See you next time. Big smile, deep breath, strong physiology. Bye-bye. Hello, this is AJ. Welcome to the Point of View Stories for Adventure. Let's begin. For the last 5 years, Michelle has hated her job. She has really hated her job for the last 5 years. Why? Well, because for the last 5 years, her workload has been much too heavy. She has had a very heavy workload for the last 5 years. Now, she has made a lot of money. For the last 5 years, she's made tons of money, a huge amount of money. she has been a vice president of IBM for the last 5 years. So 5 years ago, she got this job, vice president. Since 5 years ago, for the last 5 years, she has been a vice president at IBM. During that time, she has made a lot of money every year. In fact, for the last 5 years, she has had a lot of cash flow, very strong, positive cash flow. She's had great cash flow during that time. But unfortunately, Michelle has been miserable. She has been totally, completely miserable at her job. She has been miserable because she's been stressed. She's been so stressed, and the stress has built, and it has built, and it has built. Until finally one day, she had a meltdown, a total, complete meltdown. She screamed at her boss. She said, "I have too much work. I hate this damn job. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it." Woo! She had a total meltdown. In fact, she screamed at her boss for 5 hours without stopping. It was a total meltdown. She lost all control of her emotions. And finally, after 5 hours of screaming, she stopped. Her boss was kind of angry, actually. And he said, "Well, no problem. We'll just automate your job." And he did. He automated Michelle's job. Michelle was replaced by a computer. But she was very happy because she moved to Thailand and she lived on a beach. And every day she felt relaxed and happy. Okay, that's the end of our first story. And you'll notice again, there was a change. By now, you should understand and you should know why the change happened. Just listen to it. Just see it. Understand the meaning. And do not think about grammar terms. For God's sakes, please don't do that. Let's go to the next story, into the future. In the future, there will be a woman named Michelle. Michelle is going to hate her job because her workload will be much too heavy. She'll have too much work. Yes, she's going to make a lot of money. Her job is going to be vice president at IBM. She'll be a vice president at IBM. And she's going to have great positive cash flow, lots of money coming to her into her bank account. But the problem is going to be that she will be miserable. She's going to be totally miserable because of her job. She's going to have so much stress in her life. And finally, one day, she'll have a meltdown. She'll scream at her boss, "Ah! I have too much work! I hate this job! I hate it! I hate it! I hate it! I hate it!" She'll scream and she'll scream and she'll scream for 5 hours. And finally, after 5 hours, she'll stop. Now her boss, he'll be a little angry. And he'll say, "Well, no problem. We'll automate your job." And he will. He's gonna automate her job. Michelle will be replaced by a computer. But it's okay because she's going to be super happy. She'll move to Thailand. She'll live on a beach. And she'll feel relaxed and happy every day. Okay, that is the end of the point of view stories, the POV lesson for adventure. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.